Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Sunday, July 26th, 2015. This is episode 218. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more week, and if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and you'll come back in the future. As you can see, the chair behind me is empty. Callie is not with me this week. She said she had a lot of work to catch up on, and I believe she started her leadership training on Thursday. I think she had an opening ceremony reception thing for her training, so I'm sure she will be even more busy, even busier. How about I use proper grammar since I am an English teacher? So her recording schedule with me may be a little spotty for the next couple of months, but, you know, we wish her the best, and everything she's doing is to better her future and her opportunities in the world, so, you know, I can't deny her that, can I? Alright, I have a ton to talk about, a ton to show, so I'm going to try to keep this streamlined so that it's not outrageously long, but I do plan on doing a quick SSK recap towards the middle of the show. And, yeah, and I have a stash enhancement and new projects and lots of finished things, so it's going to be a good show, hopefully. Alright, past 2 weeks in review. As you know, I went to SSK last weekend, or if you don't know, I did. I attended the Super Summer Knit Together in Nashville, Tennessee, which is a retreat hosted by the Knit Girls, which is a video podcast, and I had a wonderful time. It was a great time vacation by myself. Andy did not attend with me for this particular show due to, you know, work restraints, and he was pretty much like, I can help at SSK or I can help at Stitches. And since Stitches is a 4-day show, I think I needed his help more there than anywhere else. So the week prior to SSK was a lot of prepping, packing, getting things together, all that fun stuff. Attended SSK. I'll talk about that, you know, a little bit later. And enjoyed the retreat, everything about it. The market was great, and drove back on Sunday, and then since then we updated the shop Sunday night. I literally got home and Andy was like, alright, let's just do it, let's unpack the truck and go through inventory. So the shop was back open Sunday night, and just been dying to our heart's content prepping for Stitches Midwest, which is coming up here in about a week and a half. So I think we're at a good point. We could always die more, and I plan on it. And I'll talk a little bit more about something special we're doing for Stitches in the center stage section at the end of the show. So, that's pretty much been my 2 weeks in review. There is one interesting thing that happened at SSK that I want to talk about, and it's hence the title of the show, which is called Jackknifed. Drove down by myself with the truck and trailer, and was a little nervous about the first hour on the road, but then, again, I got used to it and things like that. I knew that possibly getting into Nashville might be a little bit interesting with the truck and trailer. I had one instance of trying to do a lane change to get onto the right highway exit in Nashville, but it was really not an issue. I just had to slow down, turn on my turn signal, and say, I'm going to go over, and, you know, you're either going to move or whatnot. So, but once I got to the Scarrett Bennett Center, which is where the retreat is held, it's a beautiful campus. I would say it's probably about one city block around campus. It's an old missionary campus. And I knew the parking lot, since this is my third SSK, and I knew the parking lot. I knew that there were 2 single rows and there was a double row in the middle of the parking lot. And my hope was to be able to pull into the double row in the middle in order to fit the truck and trailer lengthwise, because I can take up 2 spots as long as I can pull through. Well, when I got there, there was cars, of course, and I drove around and I saw one double length open, and it was right in the middle, in between cars. So I drove around the parking lot, and I decided, I'm going to try to make it. So I got the truck pulled in, and soon realized that the trailer was not going to follow me at the correct angle in order to make it in. I had cut it a little too close. So I was trying to back out and either get out or be able to swing it wide enough to get in. And through about, 10 times of backing out, I soon realized if I tried to pull in at the angle that I was going at, the trailer was going to hit one of the cars, and that was not a possibility. So I had a mild freak out there for a moment, and was like, okay, well, I'm going to keep trying to back out and swing just a little bit further out to swing the trailer through. Through backing out, I was going very slow, but in backing out several times, I ended up jackknifing the trailer, which is basically where you have the truck, and the trailer was like right... Okay, I gotta do this backwards. You have the truck, and then the trailer gets jackknifed. So it doesn't follow you if you're trying to turn, it takes a wider turn to end up following you. Well, it jackknifed so much that the back of my truck ended up colliding with the trailer. I thought I had heard something, but I didn't think it was that big of an issue, because I needed to keep backing up. It was either hit another car or keep backing up in order to give myself enough room. Needless to say, I got through the two sets of cars and pulled the truck and trailer through, but at that point I was not comfortable having the truck and trailer there. I felt like it was too close, if I need to get out and things like that. So I was able to pull the truck and trailer through, get out, and there's parking behind, kind of, the back part of the parking lot. So I ended up pulling the truck and trailer through, and I ended up taking 4 spots. So if you have parking this way, I went along with the parking, so that I was just like, I'm going to take the spots. I learned from Fiber Optic how to park better, taking 4 spots to angle the truck and trailer so that if you need to get out, you can get out a lot easier, because I pulled straight in and lined up the back of the trailer to the end of the parking row so that I could drop the ramp and unload from there for the market. So that was done, and I was like, I was just stressed out, took a second, went in, checked in, did all that kind of stuff. Needless to say, I went out later in the night, and I was like, walking up to the truck, I said, something doesn't look right. Well, when I ended up jackknifing the trailer, and colliding, unbeknownst to me, because I was going like 1 mile an hour backing up, but the trailer is very heavy, and when a truck is trying to push that trailer against its body, not using the hitch, essentially, I ended up putting a dent in the trailer and cracking some of the aluminum. But the worst part is I ended up pushing back my bumper and the side that collided with the trailer and damaging some of the body. And so I sat in the car that night after I saw it for about 5 minutes, and I told myself I can either have a meltdown or the damage has already been done. I'm going to have to take care of it when I get back. So I was the mature adult, and if you know me, I tend to freak out about things. I'm sure Andy's listening downstairs because he's off today and laughing, but I tend to freak out about the smallest of things. So I was very surprised that I was able to handle it. The truck is under 2 months old. I've never had a brand new vehicle. I've never been in an accident in which there's been damage. So when I got back, I think Monday, my mom came down with my sister and her dog to look around for more places to live. Like I've talked about before, my mom lives in the Chicago suburbs, and due to financial restraints and things like that, she needs to downsize. So the house in which she thought she was going to be able to hopefully buy, and you'll see leading man right there. Oh, there he goes. The house in which she was hoping to buy fell through due to time restraints and things like that. So she actually came down here and looked at a bunch of apartments and signed for an apartment. It's kind of it is what it is. But she'll make do. So they were down here, and while they were down here, I think on Tuesday, I took the truck to an auto body shop here in town. And yeah. So it turns out I didn't just mess up the body. I did push the hitch frame underneath the truck up. There's a storage box on the side of the truck which got a little bit crushed. The truck bed won't come down because of the way the body crunched and all this stuff. So yeah, we thought my insurance deductible was $500, and we're like, okay, if it's $1,000 or under, we'll just pay it rather than going through insurance because our premium will go up. Well, I got the estimate of just under $5,000 to fix that. So, put in through my insurance, and come to find out, when I switched over from just liability when I got my last car, I made the poor decision of $1,000 deductible, which is still better than $5,000. So, I put in for an insurance claim and put in everything, and got through the system, which was pretty easy, to be honest. But then I got a call that because of the value, that they had to send an actual adjuster out to take a look at the truck. So the guy came out on Friday. Basically, the repair shop wants to replace everything. They're like, you have a brand new truck. We want to make it brand new again for you. The guy, through the insurance adjuster, said, I don't think they need to replace. They say they need to replace the whole truck bed panel at the side. And he was like, I think they might be able to fix it, then bump it out and everything. So he quoted me a little less. Needless to say, they cut me a check to me and the body shop. I go and take the truck in a couple days after stitches, because of course we need it to haul the trailer to stitches, and take the truck in, and I pay my $1,000 and hand them over the check. If the body shop decides that they do need to replace the whole truck bed panel, which I'm kind of hoping they do, but I guess the adjuster said it's a huge ordeal because they have to cut the side panel out and then re-weld another one in, then the insurance will pay for it. I don't have to pay anything extra. So they'll just cut them a secondary check. So all in all, it's been relatively easy, and not so painful, but it kind of hurt my pride a little bit, and it hurts the bank, to be honest. Good thing we have an emergency fund and we have a business, but so yeah, jackknifed. That's my story. Now that I'm sure I've bored several of you with that lovely story of woe, let's get to the knitting. So, what's taking a bow this week? I have a lot of things. The first thing I had finished last time we spoke, and I couldn't show it to you because the pattern was being released the following day. And the pattern has been released. This is the Wild Goose Shawlette, designed by Paula Emmons-Feasy, who has the Knitting Pipeline audio podcast. And she designed it using our showcase base, Leading Men Fiber Art Showcase, which is 490 yards of 100% superwash merino. And I came up with my SSK colorway to go with this shawl, which is called Wild Goose Chase. And sorry, the lighting's a little darker in here today, but at least I'm not yellow. So it's a crescent-shaped shawl with this easy lace border at the bottom. And she does a lovely percentage system line by line with stitch counts. She gives you ideas in there on how to modify according to how much yarn you have. She calls from anywhere from 400 to 500 yards of fingering weight. This is the 500. I followed the pattern verbatim, and I had 6 grams of yarn left. So if you do like a 400 yard skein, you're going to get a smaller shawlette. It's not going to be as many of these eyelets, if you want to call them that. At the bottom. She did do the original design in another Crafty Girls strong sock, and then went with our yarn as well to showcase it. So I don't wear things as a crescent shawl, but I did wear this one day at SSK. Paul and I wore them together, I think on that Thursday. But I like that it can be tucked under as like a cowl. And of course, it takes some zhuzhing and things like that, but you could wear it as a nice cowl like this, which is how I plan to use it, and I think it's a beautiful shawl. So she was running a deal the first week to get $2 off. Unfortunately, that has expired, but it is a $5 pattern on Ravelry, and I highly recommend the pattern, especially if you're new to lace. This is super simple at the bottom, and actually rather a mindless knit, good for knit nights, car knitting, movie knitting, that kind of stuff. So again, this is the Wild Goose Shawlette, and this was knit on a size 5, which is a 3.75 millimeter. The second thing that I finished, I gotta figure out where I'm gonna put everything. The second thing that I finished, I showed that I had cast on and got a good deal done last time we spoke, and I finished this, in fact, Tuesday before I left. I left Wednesday morning for SSK, and I finished this on Tuesday. This is the Ricky hat by Sarah Young, and I used Leading Man Fiber Arts Playbill, which is our new single ply DK weight in the obscured colorway, on sizes 4 and 7 US, which is 3.5 and 4.5 millimeters. I did not do the cheater way of wrap and turn and so that you can knit all the way around. This is done in garter stitch. I did purl. You still get a line where the beginning of the round happens, but you just put that in the back. I did use almost the whole skein. I do like the hat. Again, I'm not a big slouchy person. This has decent amount of slouch. So I'm not sure if this is going to become a Christmas gift for maybe my brother-in-law or whatnot. So that is done. I need to get pictures of all this done, but all these finished objects, but it'll have to wait till I see Callie again. We tend to do each other's modeled shots for Ravelry. So I enjoy it. It was a very mindless pattern. And I enjoyed the single ply. It does, have a little bit of fuzz and halo, and I'm sure it'll get a little bit more. That's the nature of singles. So we did start carrying this at SSK. There's none in the shop yet because honestly, the shop is full and we still have tubs of stuff to update, and we're adding to it, of course, for Stitches. But if you're coming to Stitches or any future events or soon to be in the shop, you can find our Playbill base in the shop. So I finished that. Then, but wait, there's more. I worked on this a good deal at the retreat, and I finished it shortly after I came home. I finished the Antarctis by Janina Kallio. I used Ancient Art Fiber Crafts 75% superwash wool, 25% nylon sock in the Intuit Art colorway on size 6 US 4 millimeters. So this is a variation on a boomerang with some lace patterning in it. It has not been blocked yet, but you can see I did a good deal from the Dicky Doo down. And this took all but 6 grams as well of a 437 yard skein. So, and I just followed the pattern. They say it's small, but it'll block out. It's good size for me, but again, you can block it out and open up that mesh lace at the bottom. I like the variegation. I don't think it takes away from the patterning at all. And again, it's my favorite shape and things that I like to wear. So it'll be a nice accent piece. Maybe I'll give it to somebody, I don't know. But again, I like that shape. And of course it'll lay better once it's been blocked and stretched out a little bit. It'll have a little bit more drape. But again, I enjoyed it. Very simple. It is a paid-for pattern on Ravelry, but I enjoyed it a lot. Good for that single skein of yarn that you don't really know what to do with. Variegated. It would look great in a semi-solid or tonal as well. So very, very versatile. I highly recommend this pattern. There have been some people who have complained that it's a little small, but again, you block it out. For this particular purpose and the way that I like to wear the boomerang shape, it was great. So, and it used almost the whole skein, and I cannot deny that. I like to not have leftovers. So, and here you can see the color there a little bit better. So I finished 3 objects since we last spoke in 2 weeks. 1 was technically done, and 1 was almost done, but still. So that's that. So what is performing this week? What do I have on the needles? Well, quite a few things, to be honest with you. The first thing I'm working on are the algae socks. I'm knitting out of Knitterly Things Vesper sock yarn in the algae colorway on size 1.5 US 2.5 millimeters. And I didn't get much work. I brought these to SSK and never worked on them. I did finish the ribbing. I was halfway down the ribbing when we last spoke, and I'm about 20 rounds into the leg. I have about 40 more rounds to go before I put in the waist yarn for the afterthought heel. So that is that. I've got the first one done minus the heel, so they're going. And I did pick out my next skein of self-striping socks, which I'll show you in rehearsal. Alright, the second thing I'm working on is Felicity by Megan Sanders. I'm using Barocco Folio in the Monhagen colorway on size 5 US, 3.75 millimeters. And I've got a good deal done with this. I can see this being done in the next week or two. I did start the second ball of the folio, and I'm in the middle of a round. But you can see the patterning now. It is supposed to roll. It's just plain stockinette. And you can see from the Dicky Doo is where I've knit. I did work on this a little bit at the retreat, not a whole lot. But you can see the interesting stitch pattern in there that's done at different intervals. It does take a bit more time to do those rows, but you know, it is what it is. So I have another set. I'm like halfway through another 4-row pattern repeat of the stitches, and then I've got a couple more rows of stockinette, another 4-row pattern repeat, and then I think 30 more rows to mimic this bottom rolling part, and then I will be done. So those are going, and I did pick out my next project once this is done too. I had fun with my random number generator last night. Okay, I don't know where to put everything. So much on my little crafting card over here. The third thing I'm working on is my sweater for our sweater knit along, which I'll talk about it a little bit later in the show. But I cast on for Portage by Melissa Shishwari, and I'm using Elizabeth Lavold Silky Wool in number 65, which I think is the spruce colorway. And it calls for sizes 7, 6, and 5 US, which is 4.54 and 3.75 millimeters. And it's a top-down raglan. And I just cast on. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I think I'm getting gauge, at least stitch gauge. I'm a little bit worried about row gauge, but we'll see. So here it is. You can see the interesting stitch pattern on the back. I was a little worried because this does not feel like a DK weight. It feels like fingering, but again, I'm getting stitch gauge, so that's where row gauge might become an issue. But we'll see. Because I'm worried where it says I'm over halfway done with the increased repeats before you split off for the sleeves, and I'm like, that's not very long. But if not, I'll just, I guess, knit straight with the pattern repeats until I get it to where it needs to be. I'm not sure. Again, this is more of a women's sweater that I'm trying to modify. But anyway, so you can kind of see through the back. It's not as great of a stitch definition that you can see the patterning. But I'm like, if I wear like a gray t-shirt underneath this, it'll look really nice with some jeans. So it's got the raglan shaping with the sleeve cap here and the fronts increasing and things of that nature. So, yeah, so I'm excited. I've been working on this. For being silky wool, it's rather rough in the hands. I know a lot of people like it. I've never knit with it before. It's kind of rustic, so we'll see. But yeah, so that's what's going on with that. I'm excited for the sweater. The fourth thing I'm working on, I cast on my next commission knit for the local alpaca farm, and I'm knitting the Malted Milk Shawl by Kate Johnson. Let me see if I can pull out a picture here. And it's a 3-color shawl. And I can already tell you that the pattern is wrong in a lot of different places. So if you, basically you kind of got to wing it at certain points. Their numbers are off. And I've already looked through the pattern and like the, you can see here it has the cream colored and then it goes into the lace edging in the blue color. And it says, oh, switch to this color, do this, and then do this. And it never says switch colors. It never says cut your yarn when you're changing colors at certain points. So you kind of have to know what you're doing. I'm a little disappointed with it, but I didn't pay for the pattern. This was given to me by the local alpaca farmer to knit on. So I started. She gave me 2 skeins of natural and 1 of white to dye up. So we have this cream color. and this is a worsted weight shawl. And these are big, like 300 yard skeins. It calls for 200 yards of both naturals. This is a brown. And then it calls for 320 yards of the contrasting color, or this particular color. And I dyed up the Poseidon. We're trying to mimic the pattern, so I dyed up 2 skeins of this, though I doubt I'll need much of the second skein. And I'm doing this on a size 8. US, which is a 5mm. Sorry, I've got emails and texts coming through. And I got through the first section and transitioned into the Poseidon, so you can see it here. But basically where I found issues was you do this little garter patterning slip stitch thing, and then it's like the numbers to the center is not correct. But you can basically fudge it, and she kind of puts in there like, oh, do this, and then, oh, mimic the other side, and I don't know. So I think it'll be a big, nice shawl when it's done. I'm excited to work on it. It's super soft and squishy. Love it, love it, love it. And I had bought this for sweaters and never used it. It's a 47-inch size 8. At first it was like, oh, but I knew that the shawl was going to get big and it will take up the entire needle, because I think it says the finished measurements are 60 inches across at the top. So I knew it would get some use. And these are Addi Turbos that I'm working on. The last thing I'm working on, I'm not really working on. I cast on for it at my breakout session at SSK. I taught a breakout session on the boomerang shawl shapes, and my class is full. I'm really excited. I've never taught anything, quote unquote, taught anything related to knitting. So it was very fun for me. I made little handouts and things. I had about 30 people in the room, so some people were there just to listen and kind of take in the knowledge. Some people were wanting to cast on and start, and so I casted on one with everybody in the group, and I worked on it a little bit at SSK just because I love boomerangs because they're mindless, but I am going to halt on working on it so that I can work on it at Stitches. One of the main reasons is because I'm not using just a regular skein of yarn. I'm using one of our sock blanks. So I had Andy pick out one of our dyed sock blanks, and this is one we had dyed up, and this is I called Rushed Laziness. So I had fun here doing one of these, and I figured I should probably know what it's like to knit from a sock blank. It took me about 15 minutes to get used to the crinkliness. I can get why some people don't like knitting with it. You know, if you really like the idea of the sock blank and the look of it, you could always use a Knitty Knotty, stand it up and wash it so that it's a little bit more pleasurable. And you can see that the stitches are very wonky. If you're doing something that calls for really good gauge, you know, you might want to wash it first. But here's the boomerang so far. You can see it's very like pebbly. It is garter stitch, but I think it's fun the way the colors are working out. I'm doing this on a size 6 US 4mm. Again, this is one of our improv sock blanks. We will have these at Stitches as well. I dyed up about 10 new ones the other day. That's all we had left undyed, and I did some fun techniques with them, and I think they came out gorgeous, to be honest with you. I kind of want all of them. So, you know, it's not just socks for sock blanks. Alright, that's all that I've been working on. So, what's in rehearsal? I did, like I said, I knew that the Felicity cowl was going to be done soon, so I figured I'd use my random number generator, pick out some yarn from my stash, see what project I had put with it, and I said, you know, if I pick a self-striping, but you know, before I find a regular skein of yarn, then I'll pick my next skein of self-striping yarn, socks. And of course the first one I picked was a self-striping, so just to show you, after the Vesper sock yarn, the LG socks are done, I'm going to cast on for a skein of Lollipop yarn. It's in her 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 420 yards, in the A River Runs Through It colorway. It's 5 rows each, lichen, moss, algae, all surrounded by 3 rows of creek. So you can't really see it, but it's grays and greens and things of that nature. So she has these lovely sachet bags. So that'll be the next self-striping socks on the needles. Then, the next yarn that I picked for my next project is a skein of Daisy Knits, who Jen is the proprietress of Daisy Knits. I have the pleasure of vending with her at a lot of shows, and she is one of the sweetest people I've met. So this is her card, and this base is the 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon DK weight, 231 yards in the Thinking of Mel colorway, and I picked this up at last year's Knitting Pipeline retreat the first time I attended and the first time I vended there. So it's this wonderful gray, lots of depth of color. So the pattern that I paired with it is called the Violet Waffles, and it is by Haldora J. And here's the kind of overall pattern picture. It's a waffle stitch on a hat. Nothing too crazy. But I figured that the tonalness of the yarn, the semi-solidness of it, would play with the pattern very nicely. So I will be casting on for that once I finish the Felicity cowl. That may be within the next week, and maybe after. We'll just see how much crafting time I get. So that's what's in rehearsal. Alright, behind the scenes, my spinning. I finished some spinning last night, too. I know I've been super busy, but it's been good. I finished some alpaca nylon, which was 1 ply, and then the other ply was a braid of Chasing Rainbows Dye Works 50% Tencel, 50% wool in the Merlot colorway. So I'm calling this Chocolate Merlot, and I got 272 yards of a 2-ply sport weight, and I'm kind of in love with it. That Tencel makes it shiny, plus the nylon in the alpaca. It's super shiny and sleek. There is some veg matter. I tried to pull most of it out, but the alpaca was, farm alpaca that had been carded or blended with the nylon, so you can see like a little bit there. But it is what it is. So this is my first time doing, a solid ply with a variegated ply, and I'm really enjoying this. So I've got to wash and thwack this, and then honestly this is going to go into Stitches Midwest, because this will make me have 3 skeins of handspun in the shop for Stitches Midwest, and I don't like to say that I sell handspun and I only have 2 skeins, so if this is still available after Stitches, it'll definitely be going up in the shop. I'm trying to make it focus. There we go. So, enjoyed that. And then this morning I started on the wheel my next commission spinning. It is a braid of Greenwood Fiberworks BFL in the Confetti colorway. And I was going to do this as a fractal 2-ply. However, when I split the braid, I realized that they were dyed in half, so they mirrored each other perfectly. So I'm going to try to spin them from the same ends and see if the colors will match. So it's this wonderful kind of almost rainbow, kind of electric rainbow. So I'm going to do a 2-ply from the same ends and see how those work out. I literally got half a bobbin through, just a little bit on the wheel. Alright, so in the spotlight, what am I watching and reading? I did finish Wayward Pines. The season finale was this past week. I got caught up on that, and it was a good summer ride. I mean, none of the acting was outrageously excellent. There wasn't a whole lot of character development, but that's kind of the summer shows in general. I did not enjoy the ending, the little twist at the end. I was kind of like, but I still enjoyed it. I would suggest watching it if you're interested in kind of a sci-fi, post-apocalyptic kind of thing. I caught up on 3 episodes of Proof, which is put out on TNT. Enjoying that. I saw when they were promoting the show before it premiered that, they did kind of interviews with, like I said, what's her name? Kira Sedgwick is one of the producers. And the way they write it, they don't provide answers. They provide things that could be potential proof as to what happens to us after death, and they kind of let you as the viewer come to your own conclusions, and I enjoy that. I do think the acting is really good as well. I caught up on 2 episodes of the new season 2 of The Strain. As I said last time, I started catching up on season 1 online, got through season 1, and there's 2 episodes out of season 2. I think the next one comes out tonight. So I caught up on that, and I enjoy it. It's a different take on the whole vampire, kind of vampire zombie, except they're not zombies. They kind of are. It is what it is. So I'm enjoying that. And then I decided to start a new show on Netflix, and I literally got 15 minutes into it and got busy and haven't had time to go back to it. But I started Once Upon a Time. It's been in my queue. We'll see how I like it. I'll let you know more as I actually get to watch it. I watched a movie the other night. I watched Now You See Me, which is about 4 magicians and kind of a vengeance story. I thought it was alright. It was a fun ride. It was interesting to see some of their things and to learn, some of the behind the scenes of magic things. There were some definite huge holes in the plot line. But, again, if you want to go for a good ride, I would suggest it. Alright, what am I reading? I told you there's lots of things to talk about this week. I did listen the whole way down to Nashville. I listened to Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty. I'd been listening to it. I was about halfway through it. I listened to it all the way until I hit Nashville, and then I listened to it for about another hour on the way out of Tennessee, and I finished it. I thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite by any means. I think I rated it like 3 stars on Goodreads. If you're interested in character development and the psyche of elementary school mothers, some with money, some without, and maturing, and married life, then I'd say check it out. There was just not a lot that resonated with me, so I listened to it. I enjoyed it for the most part. It was a good listen. But, like I said, about 3 stars. So I started a new book. I downloaded this before we left for Minnesota, I believe. And I listened to it for about a half hour when I was driving with the trailer for the first time, and I couldn't focus on it, so I stopped listening to it, and I waited until I finished this last book. But I picked a book from my bookshelf. I've got 3 shelves, double deep of books, and I picked one that did not have an audible recording, but then this one did. This is Blind Instinct by Robert Walker, and I'm listening to it right now. I'm enjoying it. It's relatively interesting. It's what I get into, which is serial killer, crime, detective, crime scene investigator, that kind of stuff. And it's about a 16-hour book, and I'm about 4 hours into it, so about a quarter of the way through it. I'm enjoying that so far. I'll let you know more as I get through it. Alright, stash enhancement. So I'm going to do my SSK recap really quickly here. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to switch legs because I sit on my legs. First of all, my t-shirt came from SSK. I did purchase into the t-shirt because it was a baseball tee, and I thought it was going to be a little bit different than a regular t-shirt. I do enjoy the raglan shaping. It says Gauge Before Rage. I don't even think it's... Oh, and it says SSK 2015 on the tape measure. I did wear this on the drive home, walked through rest areas, didn't really care. But I tend to wear most of these things around the house. So I decided to wear it today to show you guys. And so like I said, I showed up Wednesday. I checked in. Actually, I got there before check-in by a little bit. And found some people, found my roommate. I roomed with Amy Beth, Fat Squirrel Speaks, and sat with her and got to see Melissa Amelia Bella. And I met Crafty Pancakes. I met Shannon Minerva Turkey from the Minerva Turkey Knits podcast, and a few other people, and Malia from the Yarn Raising podcast, and sat with them for a while until we could check in. And then I checked in. I got my goodie bag, which this will probably be going to Callie. Again, it's just not my style, but The artwork was done by Beck of Gusler Designs, who did our logo for Leading Men Fiber Arts. And there's tons of other things in here. Tons of coupon codes, which I've already taken advantage of, you'll see. Some of the major things we got the sock ruler, which you might have seen in other podcasts. I don't knit toe-up socks, and this is really good for toe-up, the way the measurements work. So, I don't know. And I pretty much have my own pattern, so I was going to give this to Callie. If she doesn't want it, it might become a prize later on. There was a thing of chapstick from Stitch Pray Love. I got the flavor mango, I think. I don't really use chapsticks, so I decided to give that to Callie. Some other things. We got some buttons from Acreworks. 3D printed buttons. The color really doesn't speak to me. So, again, thought I'd give Callie first dibs. There's some other things in here. And a huge thing of coupon codes, including one for Leading Men Fiber Arts. So if you attended, check that out. Two things I did keep out of the goodie bag I thought were interesting. We'll see how much use I get out of it. This is a finger counter. It's a little watch strap that goes on your finger, and then you can just click it. And every time you hit a row. We also got a bar of sock soap from Tuft Woolens. And she did a special scent for just for SSK. This is blueberry lemonade. Oh, it smells so good. So good. So I'm excited to try that. You can just lather this in the water, or you can even rub it on your socks. I do believe you do have to rinse it, though. I think it has lanolin in it. Yeah, it's got some lanolin and things like that. So you do have to rinse it after you're done washing. But I'm excited to try that out, and I'll let you know how that works out. So that was pretty much the things in the goodie bag other than the yarn and the fiber. They decided to go outside of the vendors for the yarn and fiber this year, which is, a new take and I think somewhat interesting. And honestly, I'm not opposed to it. Not that I'm saying our sales were bad at all last year. We had a great market last year and this year, but for instance, we were the featured fiber dyer last year for SSK 2014. And, once somebody gets it in their goodie bag, they go, oh, well, maybe I don't need to shop with them. Possibly. Or, I already have fiber from them, so I'm not going to look at their fiber because I want to look at other people's. So going outside of the vendors that are actually attending SSK might be a good way to go. And they got some top-notch dyers. Some people you cannot get their stuff. For example, we got fiber. I purchased... you get yarn or fiber, and then you can purchase additional. I purchased a braid of fiber. They got Hello Yarn, which if you know, her wait list for her fiber club is like 3 years long. And this was the colorway Pigment, which is 4 ounces of Falkland, created especially for the Super Summer Knit Together. You can see the lovely colors. They had extra braids of this, but I don't need to spin more. I spin 4 ounce braids and, sell them in the shop, but I'm excited to have some Hello Yarn and to try it. And then the skein of yarn that came in the goodie bag was a skein of hazelnuts. And this is her Lively DK, which is 90% superwash merino, 10% nylon, in the Alexandrite, there we go, originally created for the Knit Girls SSK 2015. It's 275 yards of a DK weight. And it's lovely, like purples with hints of gray and green underneath it. It is really gorgeous. And one of the things we got in that goodie bag was a coupon code for a free woolly wormhead hat. And I actually paired the pattern that I picked with this yarn. So it's kind of an SSK duo for this yarn. So that is that. And believe it or not, I've pictured almost all of this stash. There's one thing that came in the mail this week that I haven't gotten updated to Ravelry, but there's a listing on Ravelry, just not a picture. So that was the goodie bag and check-in. Wednesday night, we hung out and we didn't have dinner before opening ceremonies. Opening ceremonies were great welcome. I had some door prize tickets, didn't win anything, and then we went out to dinner to Panera. Thursday I got up and had breakfast in the dining hall. Wonderful dining hall. I'm not into Harry Potter, but everyone relates it to the Hogwarts dining hall. I could definitely see that. They usually have really, really good food. Some of it is a little too... I'm very, very, very picky eater, so some of it's like, there's a lot of vegetables, and they do a lot of homegrown produce and things, which is great. But for me, I'm a very simple eater. Like I say, I don't keep my figure by eating produce. It's meant to be sarcastic. And then I hung out in the morning. I had my dye class. I took gradient dyeing with the wonderful Gail of Gail's Art. I was hoping going into the class on how to maybe manage a skein and to keep getting a gradient out of one skein without splitting it into mini skeins. And I also signed up for the class prior to having my epiphany and starting art gradients, but there was still a lot of things to learn. We had a lecture for about an hour on color theory and things like that, which was really interesting. And of course, one of the ways to dye gradients is the way we do it. I've learned 2 other new ways of going from one color to black, which I've experimented with. I'm going to have at least one set at stitches that goes from one color to black. I don't like my intervals. I'm going to modify that with the next set, but it's still a nice set. And then how to take one color and another color and cross over gradients. I'm excited to try those too. Probably not by stitches, but, Because right now, I'm done with gradients. If I have more time, I'll get more, but we've got a good stock of them. So, but it was a really good class. We did it with microwave dyeing. Do I have it up here? Oh, I did bring the yarn. I don't know if I'll make anything out of this. I wasn't super happy with my gradients, but I also did this particular color because these are 2 dyes that we don't currently use, so I wanted to try the colors and see them out. I went from this blue to that red, and I got some of these colors in between. And now I couldn't even tell you. I think it goes, like that. And these are little mini skeins of about, I forgot. There's like 120 yards. They're like 20 yards each. So I thought about doing maybe like a Superman hat, like a gradient hat for my nephew, but we'll see. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if I'll make anything out of them. But it was an interesting experience. And right after that, I ran over and taught my breakout session, which I talked about. It was really great. Amy Beth, Fat Squirrel, she was handing out her pre-order bags, and I did pre-order a bag. So this is her medium, large, I don't know, it's somewhere in there. Wedge bag, it's got the commemorative SSK on there. I knew I just wanted it. It's not like, ooh, screams to me fabric, but it is masculine enough. It's got the wonderful wrist strap, and I think it's just her basic white muslin on the inside. So I picked that up from her. And then Thursday, we went out to dinner. Where did we go to dinner? Oh, I went out with Leslie, one of the hostesses, and a bunch of other people, Amy Beth, Malia, and we went to Chuy's, which is a Mexican restaurant. It was really, really good. Enjoyed it. And then Friday, got up, relaxed in the morning, and pretty much through the afternoon. I didn't really have anything until about 4 or 5 o'clock when we could start setting up for market. I had a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful attendee volunteer to help me, and I can now say we're pretty good friends because we've been through a lot. I didn't realize how much help I was going to need, and it was hotter than blazes. Like 96 with 75% humidity on setup, and then 100 with 75% humidity on teardown. And she helped me both days and helped me during the market, check in on me, give me water. She did a Starbucks run for me, and I cannot thank Christy, who is Knit Swear Tink, enough for helping me. She is a wonderful, kind soul, and she was there when I needed her, and I cannot thank her enough. Like I said, we thought we could do things solo without, the other, Andy or I, with the tip and the truck or trailer, but there's a lot that needs to happen for teardown and setup. So we're still going to modify teardown a little bit for stitches to make it a little bit easier, I think, but So we got to set up Friday. Friday I was gross, so I decided to go back and shower, and then I went to dinner with Heather of the Fiberista Files and Highland Handmaids and her husband Paul. I had not seen them in 2 years since the previous SSK. No. Yeah? Maybe. Yeah, because I visited her in Maine in March prior to that year, so it had been, no, it had been like 3 years. Yeah, it had been like 3 years since I'd seen them, so we caught up, which was good. We had a good dinner, went back, I was tired, so... Oh no, then I went to the try-it-on room. I was tired, but then I did decide to go and get a pop out of the main hall, and then I went up to the try-it-on room. I did do the tasting room Thursday night too. I tried the Hanson E-spinner, which makes me just want one more. Went to the try-it-on room again. There's not much for me to try on. I did take a fabulous picture in a cat sweater, which they had a lot of people take pictures in. I posted it to Instagram. It's now my Facebook profile picture as well. I do have to say, I think I made that cat sweater look good, if I do say so myself. And then Saturday, I woke up at like 3:20 and was up till like 4:15, just with my mind running about the market. Got everything ready to go for the market, and we had a really good market. It was a bit slow in the morning with the retreat attendees. Not slow in terms of how many people were there. Of course, the attendees were there, but it was not like how I've seen it when I attended the first year as an attendee, and it was not like how I saw it last year as a vendor, where people are running through the doors and just not knocking people over, but, there's just excitement. It was very just casual. I was next to Mustache Yarns, who had close to 800 skeins of self-striping yarn. Her booth was about crazy for about 10 or 15 minutes. In fact, her line went past my booth. But I was so happy to see her. She drove a long way all the way from Texas to see her, and I met her husband and her daughter, see her do well. So... but then they had open market after lunch, and they had over 100 people come through because they had 100 pre-orders for their open market. It was busy. It got real busy in the afternoon. So we did well. We did better than we did the previous year, and that's all I ever ask for any event that we're going to, we go to multiple times is, can we do the same, if not better, than what we did the previous year? Because if not, then is it worth it? Is something that you have to make hard decisions about as a business owner. And I'm coming into realization with that. Andy's very good at the cut and dry of business. And, where it's like, especially these retreat settings where I have friends and I want to go to the retreats and things. But if it's not going to be worth it, you've got to weigh the pros and cons of it. So we did better. Can't deny that. We hope to apply for next year. So we'll see what happens. All right, my market purchases. I did purchase most of this. I did do a little bit of trading. I did most of my purchases before the market opened. I don't usually do that. Usually I'm like, no, I don't need anything. But I was like, no, I'm going to be good and I'm going to get most of my purchases. So, the only other fiber I bought was a skein of Fiber Optics for Gradient. This is her Blackbird Gradient. It goes from this lovely black into green into blue. I've seen this spun up by Wendy on Knit One Heart 2. And since I've already spun mine from last year, I had the Steampunk last year. I picked up a braid of that. And, of course, had talked with Kimber a little bit on the first day. She's a lovely soul. What else? I was also next to Knitting Rose Yarns, who I had the pleasure of getting to know at ZK. I had wonderful time getting to know her. We hung out. We had dinner along with Christy Knits for a Tink at Mellow Mushroom on Saturday before closing ceremonies, and we already have dinner plans for Stitches. She'll be there. So this is Knitting Rose Yarns, and she has a lot of bison-lined yarns, which are a little bit of a luxury fiber. I did trade for her for some of it last year, and I haven't knit it yet. But this is her Blossom Sock Yarn, which is 75-25 superwash wool nylon, 437 yards. It's the Justified Gradient. I'd say it's more of a progressive than a gradient, but I thought it was interesting. I've paired something with this, some kind of cowl or shawl with this. So, beautiful presentation. And then, what else? Then I walked past Amy Beth's booth, and I saw this bag, and I said, shut the front door, come by my booth, and let's work something out. I love this fabric. This is the same size as the other, the pre-ordered bag, but I fell in love with this one. The colors just scream to me, and the geometric shapes. So I have one of these. Again, it's the same muslin lining, but I'm excited to have a decent-sized Fat Squirrel bag that I know I'm going to use. So there's that. I did purchase a skein of Yowza from Miss Babs. They didn't have as much as they usually do. And they were actually having issues with checkout prior to the market opening, so I had 2 skeins that I was going to get. Again, I went in thinking, if there's 4 I love, I'm going to buy 4 for all the Yowza wave shawls. But there was only 2 that I really loved because the market was about to open. They couldn't check me out, so I asked them to put it to the side. When I came back at lunch, they had somehow switched out. I had got the coffee break colorway. If you watch Round the Twist with Karen, she had just knit one of the Yowza wave shawls out of that colorway. But when I came back, they're like, oh, here you go. And I said, one of these bases isn't right. They had switched out with somebody. I don't know. So I only took this one. This is the Midnight Stroll colorway in the Yowza What skein, which is a jumbo 8-ounce skein of light worsted. It's 560 yards. Again, colors speak to me. It's okay that I only got one. I have another skein that I bought for the Brickless last year that I still haven't knit up. So I got that. And then I got a skein from Two Guys Yarn Company. I had the pleasure of meeting them. We got to, catch up and kind of talk about what got us into dyeing and things like that. It's very interesting, the dynamic of their relationship. It's a lot like Andy and I, and some of their physical appearances mimic some of ours, so I thought that was really interesting. They'll be at Stitches Midwest as well, but I picked up a skein of their 70% superwash merino, 30% silk, 436 yards. This is a single ply fingering weight in the Dutch Island colorway. I thought it was a very pretty blue. They do wonderful semi-solids. Some very pastel, but very, very... Their presentation in their booth is gorgeous. It's something we strive for, but because we have so many variegateds in different bases, it's easier said than done. And then I did some trading with Ponky, another crafty girl, and the first 2 skeins I traded for are on her strong sock base, and those are 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards. This is in the colorway The Cat. I loved the blue, gray, and black, and then it almost has this like hints of pink for the nose of the cat, she said, but it wasn't outrageously screaming pink. And then this one I just thought was interesting. This is called Viruses Do Not Stop, and it just kind of spoke to me. So I think I picked sock patterns to go with both of these. And then she came back and she wanted a coordinating something. She got one of my gradients and she wanted a coordinating skein of yarn. So I said, just pick something you think I might like that's masculine and bring it back. So she brought about 5 things over. And I picked out a skein of her merino worsted, which is 100% superwash merino, 215 yards, in the colorway Bravado. And I really liked that. She said this is one of her new colorways, I believe. So I got 3 skeins. I can't deny another crafty girl. I can't deny adding that to my stash. So is that everything I got at the market? I think that is. I think it was relatively restrained. I wasn't horrible. So I did get some things in the mail. The first thing, I can't remember if I showed this to you or not last week. If I did, I'm sorry. But I got my mustache shipment. The second one, which is Wish You Were Here. I did see her third shipment while I was at SSK. It doesn't really speak to me, so I probably won't be purchasing into that. But this one was gorgeous. I get to hang out with Stacy and Lise of Knitting Rose. We hung out before we could set up and just talked shop, and it was wonderful. I mean, it was interesting because some, people would try to come sit with us and they'd see what we're talking about. They're like, oh, boring. So they'd leave. But we were just engrossed with it to talk about, how we've grown our businesses, things we use, ideas, how our studios are set up. It's nice to be able to talk with people and share knowledge and not have it be like, well, I don't want to share trade secrets and do all that. And at least the three of us, we were not like that with each other at all. So, as I said, we got some coupon codes in our goodie bag, and I already took advantage of 3 of them. One has not even shipped yet, and I'm a little and it came from Canada. They were talking and joking at the retreat about the price of the Canadian dollar is down. So to take advantage of that, I did use some coupon codes. So I got 2 out of the 3 things I've ordered. Another one came from Canada. I've never had any other yarns. And this is Turtle Pearl Yarns Striped Turtle Toes. It's 2 perfectly matched skeins, and I got it in the trench coat colorway, which is one of her most popular colorways. And it is based off of Burberry. So, excited to have that. I got that in. And then I also placed an order with Twist Fiber Studio. And we did a giveaway with her, some of her stuff, when she did a Kickstarter. And in fact, she came to the SSK market, and I believe she got something from my booth. So, I had seen this colorway as a door prize, and I was like, I don't know. But I kind of really loved the colorway name as well. So I picked up a skein of it in her Montford fingering, which is 435 yards of 80-10-10 superwash merino cashmere. It's the same base as our show stealer. And this is in the colorway Ooh Girl. Again, my lighting is wacky. It's a little dark. But it's kind of amazing. So, Twist Fiber Studio. Wonderful. So that's all the stash and hand spent this week. A lot of it, I know. Alright, let's go into a round of applause. Before we pull for the Color Wheel Knits giveaway, I do want to remind... I never wrote it down. The first episode in... No, I'm pulling up the wrong one. Haha, here we go. I do want to remind that somebody won a pattern from the Lace Knit Along that closed last month. We drew for a winner. And the pattern winner was Nanita NYC. I still have not heard from you, so please email me letting me know that you won. If I do not hear from you by the end of July, that prize will be null and void. So I'll give you 30 days to get in contact with me. And if not, we had somebody generously donate the pattern, Megan Sanders, who I'm knitting the Felicity cowl out of. This is a lace boomerang shawl pattern, and so if you'd like that, you have like another week or so. So please get in contact with me, Nanita NYC. If you know her, email her maybe if you want to be so nice. I just don't feel like I should have to hunt down people to give them their prizes. So, alright, the Color Wheel Knits giveaway. We reviewed that 2 weeks ago on our last recording. I decided to pull for it ahead of a time, and I may do that for all of our prize drawings. If you guys can't trust me to pull for a winner, then honestly, why are you watching the show? I'm a trustworthy person. I'm not going to just give it to people that I know. So I used a random number generator, and we had 52 entries, I believe. No, 59. I left it up. Yeah, we had 59. And number 50 was the winner, who is 5-pointed star. She said, I'd love Adeska. I don't know. It starts with an E. They have the Finnish names in the pattern pages rather than the English names. I don't know why they haven't switched it over. It says, even though I had to copy and paste the name and I would never be able to pronounce it, neither can I, I've been needing a cardigan vest and I've been really digging Garter Stitch lately. It would look great in handspun, but I also totally love the Madeline Tosh Sport that it used in the samples. So beautiful. So congratulations, 5-pointed star. That is Meredith from Portland, Oregon. Please get in contact with me and let me know that you won. And I will email Cooperative Press and they will gift you the pattern. So, congratulations, and thank you everyone for entering. We do want to remind you that we have a sweater knit along going on right now. I'm knitting my Portage sweater for that. The sweater knit along, your sweater must have been cast on or after July 1st, 2015. It must be completed on or before October 31st, 2015. We have a chatter thread where you can talk, ask questions, ask advice, show progress pictures, and then we also have an FO thread, which is no chatter, just pictures of your finished sweaters. In order to be eligible for a prize, you have to post a picture prior to October or by October 31st or before we close the thread on November 1st. It must be an adult-sized sweater with sleeves. It must be classified as a sweater on Ravelry. You must be a member of the group in order to be eligible to win. And if you would like 2 entries into the drawing, if you use any base of Bleeding Men Fiber Arts, you can post your finished object picture twice as 2 separate posts, and that gets you 2 entries into the drawing. I'm sorry, I got fiber on my nose or something. We have 2 wonderful prizes already lined up. Callie is donating a sweater's lot worth of yarn. I am also donating a sweater's lot that I will dye up to the colorway of your choice. Alright, we do want to also remind you to enter anything you finish in the month of July into the July 2015 Race to the Finished Object contest. We have 2 wonderful prizes. The first is a Silver Shed USA bag, medium-sized Dramatic Knits project bag, and we'd like to thank Anne for donating that to us. The second is a pattern prize from our featured designer, who is Sarah Abram, and you can pick any one of her patterns that is giftable through Ravelry. Alright. So, that's pretty much it. I'm going to talk really quickly center stage. I don't have anything to show you regarding the shop, Bleeding Men Fiber Arts, just because the shop is completely full. Help us clear, go over there, purchase something so I can put some new stuff up. None of the gradients or sock blanks are up yet. I know. I promise after stitches, but also I have to have room in the shop. Big Cartel only lets you, we have the biggest plan, and it only lets you put up 300 separate listings. So, we've got more than that. We've been busy. The other thing that's going on is at Stitches Midwest, we will be premiering our first ever kits for a new pattern that is coming out by Sarah Abram, who's our featured designer. She, has been working on several designs out of our yarn, and excuse me, we are going to be putting together a kit for her. I believe it's called Polyphony shawl or wrap, and it's a 3-color shawl that looks like this, which is beautiful. And we are going to have kits with the 3 skeins of Show Stealer plus a coupon code for the pattern, all for $75. So I think that's a steal. And those will be, we were going to do 20. We got the 20 kits dyed up yesterday, so we're thinking we may up that to 30 kits that will be exclusive to Stitches Midwest. If we have extras, we'll put them up in the shop. But there will only be 30. Here's another way to wear it. She took these pictures in Georgia, the country. She's beautiful as well, but so is the wrap. She also will be premiering a new lace shawl, and we'll have the patterns in our booth at Stitches. You can do beading in it. It's beautiful. That's our Ghostlight in the Envy colorway. And if you're interested in following her, she's Sarah Bear Crafts on Instagram. Excuse me. And she also is working on a new hat design out of our Playbill base. And you can see it there. So now our seaweed colorway, which I love that the pattern is looking like seaweed. So we'll also have those patterns at Stitches. So all those patterns are going to be released here in the very near future, and we will have the patterns or kits in our booth at Stitches. Again, will be number 901. It's all the way in the front right corner. Some other things that's going on with the business is we're in discussions right now in the household about the way things are working in terms of our jobs and things like that. Not leaving our jobs or anything. I'm still going to be teaching full-time, but mostly about, what position Andy's going to be in and possibly switching positions so that he can work Monday through Friday in the mornings, which would, one, give us more time together, which would be nice, but it would also give him his weekends off, which means we would be available to do a lot more shows. So we're trying to see where that goes. We've already put in applications for 4 more shows, 2 more this year, 1 in September and 1 in October, and we put in for 2 next year. And we have 3 more potentially that we could apply for, but we need to wait and see if that transition in his job is going to come to fruition and whether that's a possibility. So we're just hoping to hit the road a lot more and try to take the business to the next level. I'm excited to, 1, watch the business grow, and 2, to, we're very much homebodies. Unless we have an event, we don't really leave. And so it'd be nice to kind of road trip, granted it's business stuff, but we're looking all the way from northern Michigan into Iowa, Minnesota, Kentucky, Indiana, Tennessee, a lot of different places. So Missouri, we're trying to branch out. Now, will we ever be in California? Will we ever be in Maryland, Rhinebeck? I never say never, but definitely not until the business gets to the point where I can leave teaching and just sub on the side. So we'll see. But it's always exciting, and it's brand new things. So, well, I thought this was going to be a short show, but I tend to run my pie hole. So I'm going to leave you with that, and hopefully I didn't bore you too much with the SSK recap. Lots of pretties to show. If you have any questions, you can find me as Dramatic Knits on Ravelry. I am Leading Men Fiber Arts on Instagram. You can find show notes at dramaticknits.com. Please like our Ravelry pages for Dramatic Knits and Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you're on Facebook, would you please head on over to Leading Men Fiber Arts and like our page there. You can watch the show on iTunes. Please leave a star rating or a written review. That'd be great. YouTube, you can find us on YouTube. Comments are always welcome over there, or you can subscribe to us there. And, of course, on the blog, dramaticknits.com. So, until next week, when hopefully Callie is back with me, I hope you knit something dramatic.